Oh, he's
Yeah.
nope. Ice Cube.
I'm done.
Nope, that's the Mindslaver combo. And if you had, do you have Trading Post in that deck?
Spelltable is a website that lets you play Commander games over webcam with anyone. And if you're like me, you might have used it to jam some games with friends, but overall avoided it because of the horror stories. I always find these funny to read, but you can go on Reddit almost any day and find a post talking about a negative experience they had on Spelltable. This one, for example, I live in a pretty remote town, with the nearest store being about an hour and a half away, and decided to try out Spelltable for the first time. I was playing a Shieldra the Apocalypse deck I made, and had zero board interaction until about turn 6, when I played a Teferi's Puzzle Box and Shieldred on my turn. Once I played them, one other player threw a fit and called me every slur in the book. Is this a usual thing on Spelltable, or did I just get unlucky on my first game? Okay, so maybe a bit of an overreaction from that player. Perhaps they should consider playing a braid instead of saying slurs? Alright, how about this one? Just played a game on Spelltable with a user named... He's a 40-year-old man with a proxied anime girl Katori deck. First, he decided to ignore everyone paying for his Smothering Tithe and just got the treasures without asking. Which, could you imagine if Smothering Tithe always gave you a treasure and nobody could stop it? It'd be even more busted than it already is. Upon getting mad that people didn't agree with his toxic opinions about how terrible MTG is these days, and that Universes Beyond decks are so effing stupid, he began throwing slurs and insults at everyone in the group for the next 15 minutes, and consistently rejoining despite being kicked to play audio of women screaming. Spelltable really needs a way to either mute, permaban, or IP ban people. Now this one worries me, because apparently you can't ban individuals. I play a lot of Overwatch. How am I still bad at this game? And the avoid teammate button has become my best friend. Here's another example. One time, a player got so upset at a strip mine, he began tearing up his lands and eating them. Oh, you're gonna strip mine me? Okay, I made that last one up. But you get my point. There are some quirky fellas you can run into on Spelltable. But I play Dota, so I'm used to toxic gamers. How am I still bad at this game? And I decided to see how Spelltable was for myself. So I hopped on at around 1 AM my time to find some games. And the very first lobby I ran into had people complaining about somebody winning with a combo. Now, I don't have any footage of this because one player asked not to be recorded. And everyone who I will show here, I asked ahead of time if they're okay with me recording and posting onto YouTube. Luckily, I'm a police sketch artist in my free time and made a perfect depiction of the situation. Basically, they were upset that someone went off with a scepter combo on turn 4 during a power 7 game, which I'll get into the meaning of that later. The player had a Soul Ring opening and used Dramatic Reversal to just net 0 mana but get infinite storm count, and used a Grape Shot. Honestly, to me, it sounded more like they got a hot Soul Ring opening, and normally their deck probably isn't that fast. But since they didn't want to be recorded, I didn't really stick around to ask more questions or play the game. I decided to hop into another lobby. And I ran into a problem almost immediately. With these dead lobbies, if somebody does not actually click leave game in the settings and instead just X's out of the tab or closes the window, it creates these dead lobbies where the game saves their spot for them to rejoin, but they're never going to rejoin. So then I decided to make my own lobby, see how that works. I just wrote Casual Commander in the title. After some waiting, I got nothing, so I decided to leave, trying to find another pod, joined a few more random dead lobbies, try to make my own again. This time, I write play any 7 and just waited. This time it seemed to work though. Eventually, someone joins, then a second, and a few minutes later, a fourth joins. 2 of the players had actually already bumped into each other before.
I played someone that joined the other day too.
That was probably me. I remember versing you a few times. Yeah, you had your what did you have? Your Warhammer commander.
Oh yeah, Marnie Escalada. Yeah, it took it apart. It took too long to do what that thing was doing.
And then we all draw our hands and play some Commander. The game ends up being really close, with the zombie deck winning with a combo that if he didn't tutor up that turn, I probably would have won next. We did have some issues struggling to read cards over camera, and if I took the time to actually read what Elish Norn did, I might have been able to win. Overall, everyone was really nice, and the Jorn player was also from Australia, so it was pretty neat to play against a non-American player since it's difficult to do that without Spelltable. At this point it's 3 AM for me, so I decided to go to bed and try some more Spelltable the next day. One thing I noticed the next day is a lot of lobbies say no mocks or mocks okay. This is in reference to mocks field, which you can use on Spelltable to play if you don't have a webcam or don't have the cards. Anyway, I joined an EDH Power 8 no mocks lobby. We shuffle up, and this time I decide to play my Heliod deck. Testing the waters a bit, so to speak. This deck is very slow and control oriented. I guess a lot of my decks are like that. But it plays some cards that are a little higher on the salt scale, so we'll see how it goes. I ended up playing Helm of Possession, and in tandem with Heliod, this can be used to steal creatures easily and totally mess with the board. And although I'm doing some powerful things, so is the Omnath deck, and everything seems good. Even when I cast Humility, they didn't seem too upset. The game was overall really fun, and I decided to ask them if they use Spelltable a lot. So do you guys play on Spelltable often?
I have been a lot recently just because I moved and I'm still figuring out like a good local shop to get to and stuff, and it's just with my work schedule too, it's nice. I travel a lot for work and I can bring a deck on the road and still manage to fire it if there's nothing nearby. And I work like in the camera industry, so I always have a camera on me to make my webcam.
Ah, I see. Okay, yeah, so I also like recently. After that insight, I decided to try a bit of CEDH and see how that goes. I ran into a friendly player and asked Todd what he thought about CEDH, specifically on Spelltable. How easy is it to find CEDH players on Spelltable?
I think it's pretty easy. That's why I'm so into it, because the games are quick. Players are typically respectful and just trying to jam games. Sometimes, like the person's spot who you took, Trinket Mage, that who was speaking, sorry, but they joined the lobby and said, I'm gonna play with my 8 and 9, my high level 8-9 deck, and we were like, okay, but it's CEDH, and they're like, it's okay, it can hang, and then they just played 4 lands and then left.
Okay. Classic. Overall, they seem to like CEDH on Spelltable, and although, like he describes, there are some hiccups, he thinks the experience is overall better. We then shuffle up and play a bit of CEDH. And, as with normal competitive Commander, no salt, no problems, everyone seems nice. CEDH is a lot of fun. Decided to play another CEDH game, and I had a really fun interaction. Okay, so the Sisei player cast Sakashima to copy an Atali, and then using that trigger, cast a Wheel of Fortune, Vamp Tutor, and Bowmasters. They also got a negate from me, but decided not to cast it. Then the Blue Farm player cast a Silence, and this was so clever. I just wanted to highlight it. The Silence seemingly does nothing because it does not actually stop the Atali cast.
Sure.
Just I'll tap a white. I'll attempt to cast a Silence.
What?
Didn't I already cast them though?
Just yes. You just hear me out. Just go through it.
Okay.
I'm scared. I think I. Why is that good? Explain to me why that's good.
I'm not going to until it resolves.
Okay, sounds good. Then if that's the case, then I'm going to Swan Song it.
Yep. I'll attempt to cast a Mindbreak Trap, targeting everything on the stack except Silence.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. That was freaking smart.
Now, out of fear, the Sisei player casts Swan Song, and then the Blue Farm player casts a Mind Break to counter the whole stack. Now, they could have done this always, right? But the Silence would either make it so the trap could 100% go through, or it would eat up another counterspell. And the Sisei player fell for the bait using another counterspell. I just thought this was super clever, And in-game, it was really good for me because if I untapped and drew a third blue source, I would have won the game. I ended up getting mana screwed and do nothing for the rest of the game, but it was still fun. Then I decided to hop into another lobby. This one says 5 to 7 no infinite, and this was the only game where I encountered salt and disagreements. So even though I got permission from everybody to record and post to YouTube, like everyone else in the video, I censor the names just because I'm disagreeing with them, and I don't want these people to see the video and think I'm painting them in a negative light. I'm really not trying to, so that's why the names are blacked out. Ultimately, everyone was really nice, and I had no issues with them at all. Now, this game was actually really close. I ended up with only a few life in the last few turns. And considering there were multiple turns where I just played a land and passed because I was so flooded out, if people just took the free damage and swung at me, I would have lost. Anyway, I played my Tawanos deck because it doesn't have any infinite combos in it, but it technically has a lock. Now I gotta give a little bit of context here. A lock is not an infinite combo. Those are two different things, very specifically. And Mindslaver lets you steal a player's turn. So in a 1v1 format, in tandem with Academy Ruins, if you have enough mana to play and activate the Mindslaver and activate the Academy Ruins, you can steal someone's turn over and over again indefinitely. In theory, this deck can do that to the whole table. If I have Mindslaver and Emery and my commander and Academy Ruins and enough mana to do all of those things, which includes playing and activating Mindslaver twice. So this is a 24 mana combo to lock the whole table out. And I need to stress, yeah, Emery and Goblin Welder can help you do this, but there are no tutors in the deck for either of these creatures, nor is there a tutor for Academy Ruins. So this is like a 20 plus mana setup, maybe 15 if I have a lot of tokens and a Goblin Welder. It's really hard to lose a game where you have your commander in play and 20 mana, which is not super common for almost any deck. And furthermore, looking at the board state, I can just attack the Grim player once, steal the Emodi's turn, swing at the Grim player to knock them out, then swing at the Emodi player for pretty much lethal because I'm going to make some constructs here at the end of my turn. So the lock or loop or whatever you want to call it is literally irrelevant in this situation. I am going to just attack for lethal after one Mindslaver activation. I feel like I am totally justified in playing this lock in a lobby. But even so, they were pretty upset.
But yeah, it's not infinite. It's not the whole table.
Tutor for Goblin Welder?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you have the ability to infinitely Mindslaver the table. And you're saying, oh no, my deck doesn't have infinites. Like, that's my point.
Okay. And I understand that me saying, oh, a lock technically isn't an infinite, so anything goes. I'm not saying anything goes, right? If you're playing Ravages of War plus Land Equilibrium, that's probably not a power 6 deck. But the lock costs over 20 mana, and it wasn't even relevant to this game because I'm going to just attack for lethal after one Mindslaver. I feel like they're just being salty and overreacting, but I am really curious, do you consider locks the same as an infinite combo? I feel like even if it was an infinite combo, if it's 20 plus mana, any deck should be able to compete at that point. Now the ironic thing is I actually forgot Dockside was in the deck, and technically there is an actual infinite combo in my Tawanos deck. Whoops if I have Dockside, Clock of Omens, Salvaging Station, and Aether Spellbomb. Didn't notice until I was looking at the list after the game. I thought I took the Dockside out, but it also didn't come up in the game, so that was also irrelevant. Honestly, this is just the issue with saying something like no infinites. House rules like this are pretty much useless. Saying no infinite combos means that a deck with 90 lands and one 10-card combo would be banned, but a stacks deck with no combos would be legal. Honestly, this will probably be its own video in the future. I really hate house rules like this. So overall, what are my thoughts on Spelltable? Well, there are issues. Dead lobbies are annoying. Sometimes you can't really see what people are playing. And there's a lot of asking like, oh, is that a treasure token or a 3/3? I have no idea. And so many people say their deck is a 7, 6, or 8, which means nothing. The 1 to 10 scale is a scam and another topic for its own video. And I feel like if you were actually face to face with somebody, it's a little bit easier to talk out what the power level is as opposed to just seeing a lobby that says play a 7. On the upside, Spelltable lets you play with new players from the comfort of your own home. Ultimately, is Spelltable more fun than playing EDH with your best friends? No. Is it better than playing with randos at a game store? Also, no. I like being able to see the board more clearly and read everyone's cards and interact with people. But Spelltable is a close third. So I give Spelltable the highest honor I have ever given out on this channel, a theoretical bronze medal. But let me know about your Spelltable experiences in the comments below. I'm really curious. And I'm probably going to be on Spelltable randomly here or there to play some games. So if you see me, don't go easy on me. Thank you so very much for watching. And special thanks to my 2-3 patrons whose names you see here. If you want to be in the credits and support the channel, check out the Patreon.